All right, to finish up the framing, I've been working on the trusses. I'm building 2 or 4 boxes. 2 of the boxes will be the end truss to the first scissor truss, and then the other 2 boxes will be in the middle. And then I got an odd amount, so one single truss will be lifted. But I'll show you the brackets I'm using, since I'm putting the purlins down in between the scissor trusses, and except for the end truss, the last end truss, the purlins will go on top, extend out 18 inches for the overhang, or 16.5 inches, and then the fascia board will add another 1.5 inches, so 18 inches all the way around the building. So I gotta take into account for that. So I'll walk you around here and show you what I've been doing, and we'll go from there. All right, here's one truss box, and then here's another one. These are all that I could fit inside the building, and then we'll build 2 more outside the building. When the crane gets here, he'll just have to swing over and lift those up. Put these the purlins on the trusses. Been using these USP connector JDS24. It's a saddle purlin hanger. Obviously the 2x4 sits in the seat there. The distance between the trusses is a critical number. Went through the building and measured the distance between each truss saddle up there, and then I'm building these boxes. You know, this box is specific to a certain spot on the building, so it'll fit really good. You know, I said my building is perfect, but there's an 1/8 inch here and a 1/4 inch there, and I didn't want to fight the when we set these with the crane. I didn't want to fight the 1/4 inch when trying to sit the trusses down inside the saddle. So I made the trusses match exactly where they're going to go, or as close as I could. So these take up about a 1/16 of an inch. So this board's actually an 1/8 inch less than the width that these 2 trusses need to be. Then we ratchet strap them together, and then use their holes to total nail them in. These are 10D 3.5 inches, and these are 10D 1.5 inch. Used all 4 like they said in their manual on top, and then 2 toenails. The bracket makes it really strong. There's not a whole lot of nails there to hold this in, just 2. But since they're toenailed in, it's got good up-force protection, and the bracket's strong enough for the downforce. So these are all 2 foot on center, and then at the very top, this one here is for the ridge cap metal piece. You know, they're spaced just right for the nailing surface. So you know, it's a little different on top than the rest, because I had to have that nailing surface. And then the bottom purlins, I'm doing the same thing. I'm using the saddle connector, so running 4. I might add 2 more. They want a whole, in the engineer drawing for the truss, you know, they want a lot of bottom purlins. You know, they want one on this core, or this brace all the way down the building. I'm not sure if I'm gonna put that one on, but I probably will. But right now I've got 4 bottom purlins, and then a whole bunch of top for the roof. So when I put these together, you know, we leveled the truss on the ground as best possible, and then I still got to put some cross bracings in, so when we lift it, it doesn't flop around or fold up on us. We get putting the rest of these together, and talk to you after that. All right, we got the all 4 boxes are done. Those are the 2 that are inside the building. Only thing I did to those since last is add the cross bracing in there to hold the truss boxes rigid. I did that to the end box trusses as well. And then I put the purlin hanger brackets on the single truss, and then there you can see the end trusses. I also put the fascia board on while it was on the ground too. That made it much easier. You don't have to do that 16 feet in the air. You can do it on the ground, much easier. So next step is we'll get the crane in here and lift these up, get them on the building, and then put the rest of the roof purlins on in between the boxes and nail them all in, and we'll be ready to finish up the fascia boards and put the metal on. All right, to finish the roof up, since the poles, they were just slightly warped. Some of them were out or in at the top. The purlins were, you know, they were their correct length, but after we got everything done, just to make sure the roof was square, I put a nail on the very top purlin, which I know is exactly 6 inches down from the peak. I put a nail on top of the purlin on both sides, and I measured down to the far corner on the inside edge of the post, and I did the same thing on the far corner on far peak down to this pole, measured to that, and then we winched the building around with these cables. There's 2 cables going up, one to the bottom there, all the way up to the far peak, because the peak was off about 1 inch that way, so we winched it back. And after we now put this winch in here to pull this wall over, maybe 1/4 inch, it's not much. After we got everything perfectly square on the roof, that was important to me because I didn't want to fight the metal on the roof. So once we got everything square, we put all the knee braces on. Those are the ones that run from the pole up to the truss, and that holds the building strong this way. They recommend putting those all the way up and down the building on both sides, front and back, but I only put on my back, so only on the back, and then I figured that'd be plenty of strength. So once we got a square, put those on. Then we also put on these cross braces, these laterals underneath the purlins, and they're nailed 2 nails per purlin all the way down to this, pretty close to the pole. So that should hold the building. All the winching we did, that should hold the building where we winched it. But I'm gonna leave these cables on, the ones that we had to pull the building around with. I'm gonna leave those on until we get all the roof metal on, and then pull those off. Maybe hopefully it stays. But there's some more laterals on the bottom side of the roof, so we should be, well, I know we're square. Should be pretty easy to put the roof metal on. That's my hope, because I've heard horror stories of stair stepping. And then so far I've got to hold the truss to the column, I've got 1 bolt so far. I'm going to add 2 more on each column, so 3 bolts, and then I got to trim the top of the poles off. Pretty happy with the turnout of the roof. I feel like it's going to be a pretty strong building. Just got to finish up the porch and the windows. I keep putting the windows off, but all I got to do here on the porch is put some rafters on, and the headers all the way around the porch, and then I'm going to put rafters. I have to put some more 2x6s up and down the side of the building, where the rafter will sit on top of the header up to the girders.